What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop and welcome back to another video on facts you don't know. In this series we cover 10 facts you probably don't know about every region of the Pokemon world, and today we are going to cover the Kalos region. Now, Kalos is a pretty interesting region for a number of different reasons. It's also one of my personal favorite regions of all time, and honestly, it's not that old either because it's not even 6 years old at this point, even though it seems like it's been around forever. However, even if you are a major Kalos fanboy like I am willing to bet there are some things about this region that you still don't know, and that's exactly what I'm going to try and teach you guys today. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Here are 10 facts about the Kalos region that you probably don't know. One very interesting thing about Kalos that's also a bit peculiar is that Kalos is the only region at this point in time whose gym leaders and Elite Four members all use teams consisting entirely of the type that they use specifically. When you think about it, it's kind of weird that it took Pokemon almost 20 years to actually follow their own rules, but hey, it makes for a good piece of trivia. Another peculiar yet interesting piece of trivia is that Kalos is also, at this point in time, the only region in the main series Pokemon games that does not contain any vending machines. An interesting coincidence that has to do with the capital of the Kalos region, Lumio City, that may or may not be intentional on the part of the developers, is that when you look at the map of the city itself, you will also see the different plazas that are contained throughout the city, all of which are signified by a different colored circle. Well, when you actually look at the map as a whole, it actually bears a striking resemblance to the logo of the Battle Frontier for Generation 4. Now, come to think of it, it's kind of ironic that there would be this resemblance, given the fact that they totally trolled us with the Battle Frontier in Oraz, also in Generation 6, but I digress. Another interesting town within the Kalos region is Geosenge Town, and there's actually a pretty big misconception involving this town because a lot of Pokemon fans seem to think, myself included for a time, that Geosenge Town is actually based on Stonehenge. The points in favor of this are actually pretty convincing given the fact that Stonehenge is located in Europe, where Kalos is also based, being based on France. Number 2, the name Geosenge kind of sounds like Stonehenge as well. They kind of have that same suffix to their names. And last and probably most significantly, Geosenge Town is famous for its stones that kind of stand up in different formations that no one seems to know the origin of, just like Stonehenge. So the correlation between these two places seems pretty obvious. However, this is actually not the case at all, because Geosenge Town is actually based on a French town known as Karnak, and Karnak is also notable for its stones that actually stand up in significant formations just like Geosenge Town, and when you compare the two side by side, it's pretty easy to see that Geosenge Town is actually based on the town of Karnak as opposed to the famous Stonehenge monument. One of the most notable cities within the Kalos region is Laver City, as it represents the fairy type that was newly introduced within this region. However, a very interesting thing occurs within this city, because if you take a look at the clock that sits above the Laver City gym, you'll actually be able to notice that it has 13 hours labeled on it instead of the standard 12, even going so far as to have each hour labeled correctly with its appropriate Roman numeral. Because of this fact, it does not seem like this was an error on the part of the developers, but the reason as to why this clock has 13 hours isn't exactly clear either. Earlier on in the games, in the Santaloon Forest, you'll actually come across a trainer known as Lass Anna, and this particular trainer is actually pretty significant, at least in the Japanese version of the games, because in the Japanese version, her name is Rika, and this is actually a reference to Rika Matsumoto, who is the Japanese voice actress of Ash in the anime. This reference comes complete with Anna using a male Pikachu just like Ash obviously does in the anime as well. Another very interesting reference in these games comes from the Glittering Caves, as they may actually be a reference to the Lord of the Rings, believe it or not. In the Lord of the Rings universe, there is also a location known as the Glittering Caves, and just like the version from Pokemon, they are both a series of tunnels whose walls are lined with different colored shining crystals. Moving on though, on Route 21 within the gate that connects to Snowbell City, there's actually an NPC who will tell you that his Pokemon is nicknamed Sepultura. This is actually a reference to the back cover of the Japanese version of Pokemon Red and Green, where a Charmander is shown to have that specific nickname. This actually gets even more interesting in the Japanese version of the games because this same NPC will also specifically state that his Pokemon, who is nicknamed Sepultura, is also a Charmander. And speaking of Snowbell City, there is also an NPC here who, when talked to, will tell you that he has a child who's about the same age as you, who also set off on a journey from Vanillville Town recently. Now, even though this guy looks a little young to have a kid that's your same age, the fact that he also says that his kid is the opposite gender to whatever gender you decide to be in the game makes this very likely that this person is actually Calum and or Serena's father. And last but not least, we have a very interesting fact about the names of the games themselves. Pokemon X and Y, as you might know, are actually named after the X and Y planes of the Cartesian coordinate system, referencing that they are the very first games to be in 3D within the franchise. The meaning behind this name actually goes a little bit deeper, if you can believe it though, because the inventor of the Cartesian coordinate system was René Descartes, who was a 17th century French philosopher, mathematician, and scientist. And the fact that the Kalos region in X and Y is also based off of France just makes the names that much more fitting. And there we have it, everybody. Those were 10 facts about the Kalos region that you probably didn't know. Now, even as big of a Kalos fanboy as I am, there were a bunch of these that I didn't know myself before doing the research for this video. So hopefully you guys learned some things as well, and hopefully this helps you to appreciate the Kalos region a little bit more. If you guys did enjoy the video though, be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments below which one of these facts was your favorite, if you actually learned anything, or if you knew all of these facts from beforehand, or if you have another interesting fact you would like to share. If you are new to the channel, as always, be sure to subscribe for more new Pokemon content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and if you would like to support the channel further, consider following me on Spotify and giving some of my Pokemon remixes a listen there, as it directly supports the channel and is very, very much appreciated. With all of that being said though, I will be back on Saturday for another video, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as it goes live. And until then, as always, you know I love you guys, and I will smell you guys later.